very nice talk, although I'm kind of disappointed it came before mine, because now after looking at all those soba noodles, I'm super hungry right now. I know I'm not going to get any at lunch. No disrespect, because the food has been wonderful at this point. So I'm going to make it fast so we get to lunch really soon. Also, thank you for sticking around, because I was kind of a little horrified when I saw the title, because one of those things where I put in an active working title, and I was going to go back and change it before I made the program, and forgot. When I saw it said regulation, and I'm like, oh God, nobody's going to stick with that. Because even I, after all this time working at FDA, start to glaze over and yawn when I hear people go on and on about regulation. So I'll make that really brief. But mainly what I want to talk about is dietary supplements. So I don't really have any exciting slides to present to you from working in a jungle. It's been a long time since I've been in the Amazon. However, I still work in a jungle. It's a jungle of red tape. There's a frontier of outlaw dietary supplement manufacturers. And it's actually a true border, because it's a junction between ethnobotany, the information of how plants are properly used in a traditional manner, and economic botany, a group of people who are using these plants to turn them into a product. So when I say dietary supplement, what do you think? I mean, everybody has their own idea of what a dietary supplement is. A lot of people think it's something that supports nutrition. And for a long time, that's what it was. It was something like a vitamin or a mineral. And I'm sure a lot of people take multivitamins. But over time, the industry started producing things that contain more botanicals and other things that were not necessarily vitamins and minerals, something that our body needs for proper nutrition, but all these extra things to do extra functions in our bodies. And so even though people try to go the route of saying, well, this is like a food and it's a dietary supplement, it's like, well, wait a minute, people will sit down and they'll eat oranges to get the vitamin C, but nobody sits down to a steaming plate of echinacea for breakfast. So it's not necessarily nutritional, there's something else going on. So because of that, the way the industry was going, the government decided to come up with a law to give a formal definition to what a dietary supplement is. Because up until that point, we only had a category called food for special use, whatever that means. There's a lot of gray talk in the regulations. But anyway, in 1994, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act actually defined dietary supplements, defined it as food, but it gave a special category to that. There's certain defined terms that go along with it. There's different adulteration standards for dietary supplements as opposed to foods or food additives. And so the main definition of what a dietary supplement is, dietary supplement ingredient is a vitamin, amino acid, botanical. It's something that is a dietary substance for use by man to supplement the diet by increasing the total dietary intake. Again, another big, huge, whatever you want to define that as kind of category. And then, of course, concentrated metabolite, constituent extract, or a combination of any of those. So what happens is people don't really consider things, in terms of where they actually fit in those definitions. They kind of just say, well, it's a supplement and I'll take it. Going back to that plate of echinacea thing, we've got this spectrum of how people use plants. This is very simple. Sorry for that, but it's I don't want to get too complicated. But plants have that fit on this whole entire spectrum. You have things like lettuce that don't really have any necessarily medicinal aspect to them. Then you have garlic that has some medicinal aspect, but it's still mainly used as food, so you got that nice in-between area. And then you got digitalis, or like echinacea, not something you're going to sit down and have a big steaming plate of for breakfast. So what the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act ended up doing was creating this big, huge divide. So if you're going to make drug claims, you're going to make disease claims, you're going to say that it cures or treats or prevents or mitigates, then you're a drug. Everything else is food. And so that's where a lot of the complication comes in, because people think of food then, like going back to what I said about nutrients, like vitamin C and minerals, but you've got this whole other class of dietary supplements that actually have more of a structure function aspect to them than just simple nutrition. And that creates a lot of confusion. But this is something that Canada, I think, did a little bit better. They actually have an in-between, an intermediate category called natural health products. And these things are recognized as having medicinal benefit. So not only do they have to show safety of these ingredients, they also have to show efficacy as well. And And I think what happened was in the United States, it was just too much of a lobbying effort because most of the dietary supplement supporters and trade organizations wanted to have a cheap and easy access to drug alternatives. So they want to make it more accessible without having to force manufacturers to go down that strenuous pathway of proving that it's a drug. However, because of the way the law was written, there's a lot of disservice they actually did to the industry that I'm not going to get into right now. But anyway, but of course, dietary supplements, including medicinal plants, must have some ethnobotanical information associated with them. And so my big question, of course, being an ethnobotanist, is how is this ethnomedical or ethnobotanical information applied to dietary supplements? And for the most part, I say it's not. This is like an example of hundreds of labels that I encounter all the time where I can't even tell what this product is for. I mean, it looks like somebody went out to their backyard and collected a little bit of every single plant that's growing in their yard. I mean, look at this list. I'm sorry, it's kind of small, but you can probably see some of those. And you know these are pretty common. You already have some idea what these things do medicinally. But they're very diverse. It's all over the place. So what is this product supposed to be used for? There doesn't seem to be any thought, any traditional ethnomedicinal information put into this. And I've actually talked to people in the industry and I asked them, so where is your rationale for combining all of these ingredients together? And they said, we don't know. I was going to actually have a didactic aid because Tracy, Dr. Quay's student, on this trip picked up a book here, and it's called the Dictionary of Aphrodisiacs. And so I was thumbing through it, and just like I thought, it lists a lot of ingredients, some of them non-plant, but many plant ingredients, but they don't say how it's used, what part of the plant, in what quantities, what are the conditions of use. So when you actually try to use one of these ingredients in a preparation and try to use history of use as your evidence of safety, it's not there. So what I'm really trying to do is try to get the industry and people who use these products to think about the fact that because there's this disconnect between the information that we collect as scientists, as economic botanists and ethnobotanists, that sometimes these extracts that you get are not the same as traditional medicine. I mean, this is an example of one of the things that we're looking at right now in the industry is green tea extract. Because green tea is safe. Everybody drinks a lot of green tea all over the world all the time. But now we're seeing some possible health problems in some people when you take a concentrated extract, organic solvent extract of green tea. So that's, people are looking into that to see exactly what's going on. The same thing is that one of the things I was thinking about when I went to an NIH talk about 3 weeks ago when we were discussing the problems with studying botanicals is that if you look at these natural products, they're used in a traditional manner, which comes with a whole slew of cultural background. And if you look closely at how these people who use these plants apply them, they take into account the individual that they're treating. They want to know not just about what symptoms you have, but how are you eating, how are you feeling, how are you sleeping, what have you dreams. They're taking that individual into account. Whereas the dietary supplement industry is expecting to produce one pill for everybody, one capsule for everybody. Now, I don't want to slam the entire industry because there are a lot of good players out there that produce quality products. It just so happens that my job is to go after the bad players in here. And I always it's not to say that one supplement will not do good by everybody, because I'm sure that's the case. It's just that I think a little bit more thought needs to go into exactly what are you treating. And I shouldn't say treating, because that's, they're not supposed to do that, but realistically that's what people are doing. They're using it as an alternative to pharmaceuticals. And so I just try to make people more mindful of that. And that's kind of what my main message is for this talk, is that I want to encourage people when they're collecting ethnomedicinal information, or even any kind of ethnobotanical information, to be very complete. Because when I go back and I try to look for supporting evidence when I'm dealing with a dietary supplement product, I don't find any evidence of how the plant is used. It'll just say it's used for a condition, but it doesn't say how much, or what plant part, or how it's prepared, or for how long it's used and what kind of contraindications there are. So any kind of information that can be provided to make it more complete is very helpful. But that also indicates to me that there's still a lot of work to be done out there, and especially going to those NIH talks when the researchers are realizing that they can't even figure out what material they have in the first place. Either it's improperly identified, or they can't be sure that the plant that I'm working on is the exact same as the same species that the other researchers working on, because there might be regional variation. There might be some difference between the different plants, even though it's the same species. So that to me says, hey, there's more positions coming up in the near future for botanists and ethnobotanists, because industry is starting to look at this. They're starting to look for people to help them make those correct identifications and be more mindful of comparison between medicinal plants when they're doing their research. So I'll end right there. I can go on and talk about this for a lot longer, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me either now or later. Thank you.
We're short on time. We're going to try to fit 3 more in before lunch, which we're not good at math, I guess. So,
Sonia?
Yes. I'm wondering, in terms of the FDA regulations, how are you dealing with the term nutraceutical